I am super excited, you guys, because today is not your typical What's for Dinner Wednesday. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Kira if you are new, and today is What's for Dinner Wednesday. Now, if you have seen any of my What's for Dinner videos in the past, you guys know that I may do them a little unconventional to most people. I actually got the idea from Kimmy from She's in Her Apron a long time ago. That's the reason why I share my What's for Dinner videos the way that she does. And she was just taking a picture of her food, and then she would do a voiceover and describe her dinner, link a video if she had shared how to make it. And so that's kind of the style that I followed over the course of the last few years. This past like a month and a half, I haven't really been able to compile much of a What's for Dinner video because a lot of the meals that I've been making are cookbook recipes. So when I was out with Vanessa this past week, I asked her like, hey, can I share some of our cookbook recipes so that people can see what they're going to get in the upcoming cookbook? And she said, absolutely. So today I am going to share with you some What's for Dinner clips that I've taken, but I'm also going to share and reveal to you a lot of recipes that you're going to find in the upcoming cookbook. Now, the upcoming cookbook is solely crock-pot recipes. So we're each sharing 10 crock-pot breakfast recipes, 10 like lunch or dinner recipes, and then 10 desserts, again, from each of us. So 60 recipes total, 10 from each of us in each category. And we have really been checking them off our list with what we've already made and photographed and gotten ready for the cookbook for you guys. So I'm gonna share that with you today, and I'm really excited. The past cookbooks that we've done, we've kind of kept them secret and then put them out there and dropped it like, hey, guess what we're doing. This time we really wanted to kind of take you guys along on the process, share the recipes with you, let you know what's gonna come so that you can be prepared and be excited to want to purchase the cookbook. Now we're looking at like a end of August pre-sale launch so that everybody has their cookbooks in September and is prepared for Crocktober, which is one of the busiest crockpot, times of the year. So I'm super excited, like I said, and I'm gonna just stop talking now. I'm gonna take you down into my kitchen and I'm gonna share with you some of the things that both myself and Vanessa have been cooking up to share with you guys. So I structured the video very similar to how we're structuring the cookbook. I compiled all of our breakfast recipes first, and then I did the lunch/dinner meal kind of recipes, and then I put the desserts at the end. So we're starting with one of mine. This is called a rustic potato bowl. I know not all crock-pot meals always look super appetizing. I feel like they're soft and kind of mixed and all jumbled together, but this is potatoes and that apple chicken sausage from Trader Joe's, and it's kind of smothered in a cheesy cheddar kind of sauce. It is really perfect for breakfast. I made scrambled eggs with American cheese, and then I toasted up that buttermilk bread from Trader Joe's. That really was phenomenal white bread if you're looking for a good white bread, and I just put a little butter on it, and it really was the perfect breakfast, but not as perfect as Vanessa's easy breakfast casserole looks. It's sausage and eggs and potatoes and peppers and cheese, and it really is super simple and super easy. I wish I got a chance to taste a bunch of her recipes. Some of the things she's putting in this cookbook I have tried, but not everything, and these are one of the things that I would love for her to cook for me or to save for me. I've started letting her know that I've been saving stuff for her. She needs to save stuff for me, especially things like this, because that just looks super yummy, and like she said, it was really easy to assemble, which we all love easy. This is my apple fritter monkey bread. So it's very similar to like a cinnamon roll casserole, but Vanessa's doing one more like this. This is kind of pull apart, just like monkey bread, but it also has like pie filling, like apple pie filling. And you can get all different kinds of apple pie filling. They even have that caramel apple pie filling by Lucky Leaf that they sell at Walmart. That would have been fantastic in this. I did not use that. I picked up one, I think, from the DT that I just used for this recipe. But honestly, all the components and everything that you add, it doesn't even matter what kind of apple component that you're going to put on the bottom, but then you make this monkey bread thing on top and it cooks in the crock pot. So yummy. It is the perfect breakfast because it's that sweet but filling. So you kind of get that pancake French toasty flavor with apple pie and cinnamon roll. So, so good. This is another one of my recipes, and this is an Italian frittata. I will say again, when you're photographing things that come out of the crock pot, this has mushrooms in it and spinach, and I feel like they kind of discolored a little bit in the crock pot while it was cooking. But you guys, this frittata was amazing, and I had leftover chicken sausage, like ground chicken sausage from Every Plate in my freezer. Their meat is just so top shelf and quality. That's why I always promote and talk about them. This video is not sponsored by them, but I've mentioned I don't need a sponsor video to say how much I love them because their food is such a good quality. But that chicken sausage was amazing. That ground sausage inside of this was so amazing with the Roma tomatoes and the spinach and the mushrooms. And I had some bacon with a half of a egg everything bagel we brought home from New York with a little bit of butter and some fruit and strawberries. It was so yummy. And since we were talking about the cinnamon roll, we're going to kind of stay with that theme for the next two slides because this is my Cinnabon oatmeal. You guys, this tastes like a Cinnabon in your mouth, and it's oatmeal. And only Paul and I eat it, and we ate this entire crock pot. Like, I ate a bunch, and then I portioned some out, and he was bringing them to work and eating it every morning. Like, he just enjoyed it so much. This literally, like I said, tastes like a Cinnabon in your mouth, and it was oatmeal. So how can you go wrong with something like that? And then Vanessa made this cinnamon roll casserole. Again, you'll have to grab the cookbook so that you can get play-by-play instructions. Obviously, we're not going to give those to you now, and I can't even walk you through remotely really too much of Vanessa's recipes because these are just pictures that she sent me of ones that she has taken. But doesn't that just look so yummy? And that was in the crock pot, so very probably similar to that monkey bread, except that monkey bread had the pie filling in it, which you could substitute for any pie filling, but this was more just being able to eat pieces of cinnamon roll coming out of the crock pot. And I know what mine smelled like in my house, so I can't even imagine what that smelled like in her house. We're going to kind of flip the switch for a second here, and we're going to flash to a breakfast that I made in my house that I wanted to share with you guys because a component of it is for the cookbook, but the rest was just breakfast. So these are the cinnamon toast crunch pancake mix that I got. You guys, this pancake mix was so delicious, and then it came with actual cinnamon toast crunch cereal for you to sprinkle on top for you to have on your plate. So I made that alongside of my cheesy potatoes. Like, these are my absolutely favorite hash browns to make. This is more like a combination between like a cheesy bacon hash brown and then that hash brown casserole that you get from Cracker Barrel, but it's just a little heartier, and I feel like it's creamier. It's just so delicious. I feel like I could eat that for an entire meal. It's just so good, and it couples so amazing with a breakfast. And so I made those cinnamon toast crunch pancakes, and we had that alongside of that hash brown casserole, and then I cut up some fresh fruit. So that's the picture that's actually going in the cookbook, and that was my dinner plate that night. And let me tell you guys, that was sensational, and I cannot wait for you guys to try those hash browns. Still chugging along with a breakfast, and this is a Mexican egg casserole, and Vanessa and I are going to talk a little bit more about this in the cookbook, but you never know what size crock pot somebody's cooking in. And I only own an 8-quart. So some of these recipes came out just a little bit different than they would be if they were in a different size crock pot. But this Mexican egg casserole is so phenomenal. Besides taco seasonings, it has like black beans and corn and salsa and chorizo, and it's just so good. I topped it with cilantro and sour cream and tomatoes, and I made cornbread that night, and we had watermelon. This is my actual dinner plate, and it's also the one going in the cookbook. You guys, that egg casserole is a bomb, and it's literally worth every dollar that you will spend on that cookbook just for that recipe alone because it is so, so good. So I kind of mentioned that one of the things we wanted to do was take you on our journey. And I even feel like maybe we should film a video of us preparing one of these recipes, her and I together, and put it out there for you guys to see. So you can see a lot of the trial and error, because these are recipes that, you know, we've made a long time ago that we're trying to tweak or make different, or sometimes they're recipes that we've prepared in the stove, but we're trying to convert them to crock pot, and then you have to go back and forth and try and figure it out. And this is one of the things that she had to kind of work and play, and when she nailed it, she was so happy with it. But Vanessa's like the queen of banana bread. She makes banana bread, banana muffins. She shared that on her channel. She shared it in our previous cookbooks before. And this was a s'mores banana bread. She raved about it. I love the picture. I think it's beautifully taken. I think it's going to look great in the cookbook. And she talked about how yummy that this bread was and how her family was over the moon about it. So I cannot wait to try it and make this one myself. And this is another recipe of hers that I'm anxious to try as well. So this is an egg and biscuit and sausage gravy that's in the casserole, like biscuits and gravy along with cheese. It looks like an egg. I only got like a little tidbit from her over the phone about what this was, but I love me some biscuits and gravy. I haven't had it in a really long time. When we just went out to First Watch this past week, she got biscuits and gravy. Like, that's one of her favorites. That's one of Mark's favorites, something he requests for breakfast all the time. So I knew this was something that she wanted to pull together, and I'm anxious to make this myself because, like I said, I can totally get down with a good sausage gravy. And this is another one of her recipes that she legit cannot stop raving about. She's again made it in the past before, but this batch that she kind of tweaked came out the best she's ever made. And she said she could have eaten the entire crock pot herself. Only her and Paige eat oatmeal anyways, and they were killing it. Or Pearl likes it too, I believe, but only half the house. And they just killed all that oatmeal because it was so good. She served it alongside of some vanilla yogurt for breakfast. She put that on Instagram a couple of times, but she really loved that. All right, we're done with breakfast and we're going to go into our meals now. And tell me Vanessa's picture is not literally gorgeous. Like, that should be the cover of our cookbook alone. She made a minestrone soup. That's one of her favorites. She really loves it. She's one of the only ones. And we said we've been having so much fun with some of these recipes because we've been making things we don't normally make because maybe our families don't eat it, but we enjoy it. So we haven't made it in a while. And this was one of those things. So she was so excited. She enjoyed it so much. I love the breadsticks next to it. And again, that's a recipe I'm excited about. Nobody else in my house would eat minestrone soup, but I would. So I'm looking forward to making that. And this is my ranch chicken. I even tweaked this again after photographing this. I made it one more time just to kind of retweak. I didn't take another picture because I loved the way this one came out, but I definitely have better suggestions for the cookbook as how to prepare the chicken. For the future, I did chunks instead of larger pieces just so that it would be more tender all the way through, and this way it would be easier to eat. But this chicken was literally so flavorful, and I put it with the carrots in the crock pot also, and then it made that really yummy buttery juice that you can see was ladled over the rice. Really delicious. Like I said, I tweaked it a little bit, but I'm anxious to share that with you guys. This is just a meal that we had this past week that I just threw in here. There is a few meals that are just regular dinners of my own What's for Dinner clips that I kind of threw in here. And we had pineapple burgers for dinner one night, and then we ran out of pineapple, and this was my leftover lunch for the next day. And it's just a burger with Swiss cheese, and then I made an over easy egg because that's one of my favorite things to put on top of a burger. I love steak and eggs, and that's the little like weird mixture. It was like a cabbage and carrots and like all these different veggies that I got from Trader Joe's, and I made my own little coleslaw out of it. And we got Funyuns from Sam's Club in a big, and the bags are so big. I didn't realize they were big bags of chips, so I split this with Maya. I put some on my plate and she had some on her plate, and this was literally the most delicious dinner. Like the burger, the Funyuns, the coleslaw, super, super yum. Something else that Vanessa made for the cookbook that she had to do a little tweaking on was this recipe. So this is her bow tie pasta, and it has like a red based tomato sauce with spinach in it, which I just love that, and sausage. But I'm not sure if it's ground beef or sausage. I think it's sausage, but I love the concept of spinach. Like that just sounds so yummy to me. My family's not big on spinach, but I love that mixed into recipes. So that's something I may make for maybe me and Jake for a lunch, and then like portion that out for us, because that sounds like something only him and I would eat, but it just looks so good. This is just another one of those meals that I threw in, but you'll see why it plays a part, because I use this ham to cook another recipe you'll see in just a few minutes. But we really liked during, I think we did it for Christmas time, but we got a ham and we made the ham, and then I used it for so many recipes. Like we had ham sandwiches, I made ham, egg, and cheese croissants, I made ham and cheddar potato soup. Like we used so many things, and Daryl just loved the ham, and he loved that we got so many meals out of the one ham, so he wanted to do it again. This may have been Easter, or this may have been the mock Easter dinner that we did before Jake left. I'm not even sure, but it's ham, that rainbow cauliflower from Trader Joe's, some roasted potatoes, and some fresh biscuits. But you will see what I'm going to use that ham for in just a little bit. So it was kind of relevant to share with you what we had for dinner on this night. This is another one of my recipes, and this is my cheesy taco pasta. You guys, this was perfect for a Taco Tuesday, to kind of throw in the Taco Tuesday feel, but not have it be tacos all of the time. And it allowed you to still do all the taco-y things. We still did the cilantro, the green onion, the sour cream, the tomatoes. I did make the pickle salad on the side, which does sound a little weird, but it really did go. And then I took a little tortilla chips and I kind of put that on top for the picture, but then when I actually ate it, I took those tortilla chips and I crumpled it up over top, and it just gave a little bit of crunch to the pasta. I enjoy that, but this is so good. And again, you guys, these are all crock pot recipes. A lot of them are dump and go, so they're super easy. Kind of sticking with that taco feel. This is, I don't know what Vanessa's calling it. Maybe it's like a Santa Fe chicken or something like that. But this has a Chipotle feel to it, she said. It's salsa and shredded chicken and black beans and corn and cheese. And that just looks so amazing. She has the tortilla chips in the back with the salsa and the sour cream. I see some like lettuce mixed up in there. That just looks so stinking yummy. That really speaks to me, because I love the chips and the things that you kind of dunk into it. That really, like, that's my kind of meal, and this is my husband's kind of meal. Go figure, right? That if you watch us, you wouldn't be surprised that a French dip would be one of my husband's favorite things. But out of all the things I've been preparing out of the crock pot, this was one of his favorites. And I used the everything ciabatta rolls from Trader Joe's, and I made the French dip, and I melted some provolone cheese on top, and that's the au jus on the side that's left in the crock pot after you pull the meat out and shred it. And I just added some tater tots from the toaster oven on the side, and wow, you guys, I can't even just tell you, this is one of those sandwiches you don't mind getting dirty. Like, you dunk it in there and you take a bite and the au jus is like dripping off your chin, and you don't even care because it's juicy and delicious and it's simple. Again, crockpot recipes can be really simple, and this is one of them. Just simple, but yet super flavorful. So I think this is probably one of the out of the park recipes that you guys are going to love, and that's what Vanessa said about this one. So this is her beef and beans. And she said that this really has like a sloppy Joe flavor profile, but the texture and feel in your mouth of more of a casserole. Like, it's heavier. It doesn't feel like something you would want to put on a sandwich. It still feels like something that you would want to put on the plate, but it had that general flavor profile of a sloppy Joe, but with that big heavy weight of all those beans. Like, I see lima beans in there, and like, I think those are northern beans, maybe kidney beans. They just look so good. She has bread on the plate with salad. Like, that's something I wish she saved for me too, because that looks so amazing. Speaking of something that was amazing, here's where the leftover ham went, which is what we did last time. And I knew that I had to put it in this cookbook when we decided to do crock pot, because that's exactly, how I prepared it last time. But I just saved the ham bone. And then I also saved like all of the meat that you can peel off the bone to use for soup. And this is the perfect chowder. And if your crock pot gets like good and hot and you put it on hot, you can actually make the roux right in the crock pot to thicken up the soup so that you don't even have to take it out. You don't have to do another pot. I did use an immersion blender to kind of break it up and give you that creamy consistency. I topped it with cheese and crumbled bacon and sour cream and green onion, but holy cow, you guys, there's corn in there and the ham and the potatoes, and it's so creamy. It's super yummy. You guys are going to love it. All right, this is something I was really excited to share with you because this is that alpeo. I don't know if I can find the actual name of it. I'll put it on the screen, but it was a sauce that Trader Joe's had for like a limited time. You know how they bring things in and out, but it was supposed to be like a sweet and sour. And I marinated chicken from freezing it in the bag, and then we defrosted it and we just put it on the grill. It was phenomenal. I made my Parmesan orzo on the side, and I just had a handful of some cherub tomatoes. I had already ate a bunch. That was all that was left before I decided to take my picture. But the grilled chicken was amazing. No spice, the right amount of sweet and sour. The grill marks. Of course, my husband is an expert griller, but that was so good with the creamy orzo. Yum, yum, yum. Something that I wish I could have in my house more often that Vanessa has quite often because her family really enjoys it. My family not so much, is sloppy joes. For a long time, she was like ride or die for the Pioneer Woman's recipe. That was the only one that she would make. And then she just decided to make her own. And I kind of noticed like this revelation that she didn't have to make hers anymore, that she's confident enough with her own flavors to kind of pull her own together. And she made this, and I've actually eaten this before. She makes amazing sloppy joe, and she put a slice of cheese on a bun. She has some pickles and fries. Like, that is also a beautiful cookbook picture also. That just looks so yummy to me. I really am getting hungry. Are you guys getting hungry? Because I'm starving. All right, so we always do like a takeout Chinese food night at home. That is like a go-to for us. That is the Mandarin orange chicken from Trader Joe's, but I never put the actual sauce on it. Everybody likes it when I just make the crispy chicken and then we dunk. We're all dunkers in this house. Like, we love sweet and sours and ketchups and ranches and all the things to dunk in. And my family really likes to do that with the chicken. So just a little bit of sesame oil and some vegetable oil in the pan, or, olive oil into the pan. And it makes a great flavor, and you saute it up until it's good and crispy. And then you just serve that sauce on the side. And then those are the egg rolls that I put in the air fryer. They're by the brand Vans, and I get them from Walmart. I get pork or chicken, and they just, in the air fryer, they come out so delicious. That's my pork fried rice. I went a little simple that night with just scrambled egg in there, and then that was like a broccoli medley that I just put on the side that we could have mixed in with our rice, and then the sweet and sour sauce. But again, we love our Chinese takeout nights. They're good and easy, and they're cheaper than takeout. This is something that was such a giant hit in my house, and all I did was change up a few things then of a recipe that I've done in the past by just kind of switching up the cheese and by switching up what it's cooking in. But this is my Swiss chicken. So like I said, I've done this recipe a ton of times before, but it used to cook in like a different kind of flavored broth, and I used regular cheddar cheese and bacon, but I decided to switch it up with the Swiss cheese and then make a different kind of like sauce that it cooked in the crock pot all day, just to switch up the recipe for the cookbook. And my family went bonanza over that. I made some of the Annie's mac and cheese, and you could see like the bacon fell off into the crock pot, and when you were ladling the sauce, the bacon was just like coming out. So I was putting that over the mac and cheese. Like, it was just so good. And I'm not even one for mac and cheese, but that was so good. And as if you weren't hungry enough, dinner is done and we are on to dessert. So this is probably one of the most difficult recipes that I've pulled together so far in the cookbook. And again, that is because some of these recipes I have not made in a very long time, and I am now cooking in an 8-quart crock pot. And again, every recipe will always be different depending on how hot your crock pot cooks and how large it is. So you guys will have to keep that in mind when you're cooking, that some of these recipes you may need to tweak a little bit. And this is a glazed coffee cake. It has all the flavors and all of the components of a coffee cake. I just wanted it to be a little lighter and fluffier, and that would have worked if it were in a smaller crock pot. But by it being so large and having to be spread along the bottom, unless I bought a different crock pot, my recipe was not going to come out the way that I wanted it to. But all the flavor profile is there, so I know that sharing that recipe with you guys, if you can use a smaller crock pot, you will achieve exactly what I want you to achieve, and all the flavor, like I said, is already there. It is approaching that lady time of the month for me, and chocolate and ooey gooey is like one of the ways to my heart. And this is Vanessa's ooey gooey brownie. Like, look how ooey gooey that is. Like, the name fits it perfectly. She put some whipped cream on it and caramel. I'm anxious to try that recipe because it just looks so good, like warm and ooey gooey brownie in your mouth. Yes, please. That looks so yummy. And something else that was so yummy was this blueberry cobbler. Guys, fresh blueberries, very simple recipe, just using a cake mix and mixing a few ingredients into it and then putting it on top of these blueberries and adding melted butter. Like, it's very simple. It made a phenomenal crust. There's a few little secret ingredients to it than just being a regular average like dump cake, but the fresh blueberries, look how yummy that they cooked up. And it's the season for blueberries right now, so it really allowed me to get like an out of the park batch, and I know something you guys would completely enjoy. And to be honest, if you really wanted to, you could cheat and you could add a little bit of yogurt to this and have it for breakfast. Like I said, we did it for dessert, but it was so good. And something else I feel like you could do for breakfast, because you know, why can't cake be for breakfast if it has fruit attached to it, right? And this is Vanessa's strawberry dump cake. Again, there are a ton of recipes out there that you can switch in so many different ways to make amazing fruit and cake recipes that come out of the crock pot. It's actually quite amazing what a little bit of creativity and some time to play with some recipes, what you can create out of there, because the strawberry dump cake just looks so amazing, and I've definitely made things very similar to that myself. This, you guys, is chocolate chip cookies. It is chocolate chip cookies that I made inside of the crock pot. Now, my crock pot, again, because it's 8 quarts, is a very large oval. So it was kind of weird when it actually comes out. I used a liner for every one of these recipes, so you could just pull things out way easy. So I was able to pull this out and kind of slice it like a pizza the way that it was. And I picked the very best shaped piece for the picture. But tell me that just does not look amazing. I drizzle a little bit of chocolate sauce on the plate, and then I placed it on top, and my Mimi drizzle a little chocolate sauce on top of that. And I did some whipped cream in the back with a little bit of cocoa, cinnamon sugar from Trader Joe's. But if you didn't know that you can make chocolate chip cookies in the crock pot, you absolutely can. And this, you guys, was probably one of my favorite, most delicious things to make. But it really should stay in the crock pot, but for like picture purposes, I didn't want to leave it in the crock pot because my crock pot is not pretty looking and it wouldn't have been pretty for a picture. So I actually put it in a gravy boat and then put some things around it so that you guys can see. But this is fondue. You know, fondue needs to stay hot so that you can constantly keep dipping into a melting chocolate. But this is an amazing fondue. It has a little bit of an amaretto undertone, which is very Italian for me. I even did my Sicilian cocoa in the last cookbook, and it had amaretto in it. I just love those flavors of amaretto and chocolate together, and this fondue is on point. It's creamy, especially warm. Like I said, it has that great undertone, and it goes with anything and everything for every kind of event you can think of. And so does Oreo cake. And I made this like solely for Jake, and I've made this for him a couple of years ago for his birthday. It was like something he requested. He's not one for crock pots, but he likes this Oreo cake that I make in the crock pot. And when I told him I was doing a crock pot cookbook, he was like, "Mom, you have to make my Oreo cake." So this is actually going to be titled in the cookbook Jake's Oreo cake, because I created this recipe solely for him. The little cream up top is like a derivative of dirt cake, which is like a recipe that my brother always makes for Jake. So this is like the best of both of his worlds. I love the picture with the cracked Oreo next to it. So I'm excited to share that. And this is a carrot cake recipe that just came out literally as moist as possible. I almost feel like it came out too moist because of how fresh the carrot shreds were that I used. I've bought either matchstick carrots or shredded carrots already when I've made this recipe in the past, but I had leftover carrots from an every plate meal, and so I just used that, and they were so fresh and so moist that I even put extra moisture into the cake that I didn't even think was going to happen. But I made my own cream cheese frosting and slathered it on top. That's what we used for Easter. It was so amazing, and so was this. So this is essentially called Christmas candy, but being that it was Easter time, I made it for Easter, and then I did make a couple that had red and green on it. So for picture purposes, you guys could understand the Christmas candy portion of it, but really it's whatever season or color profile that you want to use by whatever of the candies that you want to put on top. But you melt chocolate inside of the crock pot, and then you fold in things like craisins and nuts, and then you use a cupcake liner inside of a cupcake tin, and you pour a little bit of that chocolate in there. You sprinkle whatever you want on top, and you pop it in the fridge, and then out pops this really delicious candy that you can use for any season. So I'm really excited to share that recipe with you guys as well, and I hope that out of all the recipes that you guys saw today, that your interest is piqued just a little bit about the cookbook that Vanessa and I will be putting out at the end of the summer. My mouth is watering, you guys, seriously. If we did not leave you salivating at the mouth, then we are not doing a good job. But I feel like sometimes it is a little hard to photograph crockpot pictures because things that come out of the crock pot sometimes are like mushy and not really what looks good or presentable on a plate. But her and I have been doing everything we possibly can just to give you guys the best visual experience so that it matches the flavor experience. So I hope you guys are excited, and if you are, make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up. If you're not already following Vanessa, I will leave her information in the description box if you want to go over, check her out, and follow her, because she's still sharing recipes and buying groceries and preparing for the cookbook as well. And you can just come along on our journey this time. So thank you again so much for watching. Subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.